Subscribe, like, comment and share to support the channel. Thank you for the support. The scene begins in a ruined village. Glass's mommy is seen showing a group of men some reasons to like her. All the men started to breath heavily. Seeing their reactions causes Kama if they wanted to violate her that badly. I have to censor this part. Sorry boys. Kama had lifted her shirt up, revealing 2 reasons to like her even more. She looks at the group of men in front of her, calling them disgusting. She also pointed out that unlike the people of the Imperial City, she knows that they have libido. She questions if it had been accumulated. Kama then gives them permission to do what they want to her body. Hearing those words send the guys into a mad flurry. But before they could taste the divine fruit, a string instantly snaps itself into the neck of one of the men. More string started to appear and stuck itself into more of the me. Soon enough, the men stopped moving and started to hang in the air like puppets. With their hands on the ground, all the men in front of Kama started to enter a bowing position. Seeing the men act this way brings a smile to Kama's face as laughs. She steps on the man in front of her with strings attached to her back. She looks at them and tells them that dominating small fish like them is really pleasurable. Back to Kayamaru's intense training regime. Her squad is seen doing push-ups while she monitors them. Looking fierce, she soon shouts a cheer, "Otudo, Saiku," which translates to "Lil Bro is the best." As the men continued to do their push-ups, they followed along to her cheers. They shouted out as well, "Otudo, Saiku." They soon changed the cheers to "Miracles are done by force." Miracles are done by force. And afterwards a really weird cheer. "The siblings will get married. The siblings will get married." Noru soon collapses onto the ground, tired from all the push-ups. He questions whether they could really get strong by training like this. Haps appeared with a mug in her hand. She asks Noru if he had any complaints about the way Kayamaru was doing things. "What if I have?" replied Noru as he tells Haps that he hadn't forgiven her for what she did, but she then offers him the mug she brought. She kneels directly in front of him, asking him to drink up all the water in the mug, warning him if that he doesn't hydrate himself, he would collapse. Noru was too stunned to speak. He soon accepts the mug and agrees to her orders. Haps then turns to her own group of lackeys, ordering them to take a proper break as well. "OSU!" shouted her group up in response. She then lectures them that as long as they follow Kayamaru's training, everything will be fine. "Right, Onee-sama?" she asked as she turns to Kayamaru, who stood behind her. Kayamaru agrees with her, further stating that 3 sets of 20 push-ups a day if they keep doing that every day. But a member of the group cuts her off by suddenly screaming. Other members of the group started to panic as there was a sudden appearance of a monster. They all cried out for help, telling one another to run and that they didn't want to die. But Kayamaru simply stood in the same spot as everyone tried to run away from the monster. The monster soon lets out a fierce roar, but Kayamaru simply replies back with a powerful punch straight into its body. "This is why she is our muscle mommy. All hail muscle mommy." The monster was left too stunned to speak as its saliva simply drooled out from its mouth after being hit by Kayamaru. It soon collapses onto the ground after that single blow. The members of the group stood still as they witnessed a miracle, an act of muscle mommy. With their mouths wide open, Kayamaru then continues to lecture them from where she left off. She tells them that if they kept doing push-ups, then anyone will be able to do what she just did, but the members were pretty sure that it was impossible for them. Haps on the other hand continues to be impressed by Kayamaru. She then questions her about the reason in creating a combat group, as she was sure that Kayamaru was able to defeat any enemy by herself. Kayamaru disagrees with Haps, telling her that war is not so sweet, and that there are a lot of people who are stronger than her. In fact, she has never won a single match against her own little brother. Haps was shocked to learn this surprising fact from Muscle Mommy. She was silent for a moment but asked if it was because she went easy on her little brother. Kayamaru continues to tell her that at her current level, she was still no match for her younger brother, because he was a master of the softness style. An image of her younger brother in the dojo is seen. Surrounding him were the beaten members of the dojo who laid unconsciousness on the ground. Haps continues to be surprised at the fact that her weak-looking younger brother was actually stronger than her. The scene switches back to the modern world of Japan. Kayamaru tells the story of how she was the one who taught Yukito martial arts. She states that you could call her style Go, which means rigid, while her younger brother Yukito's style is Ju, which means soft. We now witness a legendary battle between siblings. Kayamaru is seen preparing herself against Yukito, but upon closer look, her face was perverted as hell. Look at that amount of drool coming out from her mouth. She looks at Yukito with lustful eyes and ill intentions. She spoke these words to him, "Onee-chan will train you personally." With her hand stretched out, she tells Yukito to come to her. This version of Warabe Yukito is when he was a junior high school student. He stood in front of Kayamaru with a calm expression on his face, but sweat started to drip down his face as he tells Kayamaru that he doesn't want to. He explains to her that she was being so creepy whenever she wanted to do kyumight with him, but Kayamaru was breathing intensely, drooling even more as she shouts at Yukito to not hold back. Yukito tells her that he wasn't holding back as he really didn't want to do this with her. Hearing those words made Kayamaru snap, "Quit babbling." She shouts at him. She then decides to lunge towards Yukito herself, telling him that since he wouldn't come to her, she'll come to him. "Here I come," she yells as she flies through the air. Yukito could only show a defeated expression on his face as she flew towards him. A sudden bang sound could be heard in the air as someone started to grunt hard. What is this technique?" shouted Kayamaru as a shadow was cast over her face. She complains that even though she was a master, she couldn't break free. "What the hell?" But all Yukito did was stare at her with dead eyes. She continues to call out to him, questioning him about when he had gotten this good, wrong. Shouted Yukito, back at her. He tells her that if she used force, she would be able to overcome him with ease, but Kayamaru tells him that she couldn't as they continued to hold each other tightly on the ground. This is where things get really weird. The author wrote this. I repeat, the author wrote this. Kayamaru began to become even more lustful after Yukito as her infamous drool started to drip down her mouth. "Grip me tighter." "You're wrong. I don't care if the bottom half of your body goes in a little. Violate. Violate me." Yukito continued to wear a defeated expression on his face. His thoughts were filled with the fact that he couldn't take this anymore. His sister in the cult. He then looks at his sister, telling her that he would do whatever she says. Hearing those words from him caused Kayamaru to stop. She looks at him with open eyes, repeating his words into her mind about how he would do whatever for her. Her followers remained stunned and silent after hearing that story from Kayamaru. She further explains that what Yukito said at that moment, that was undoubtedly a marriage proposal. In other words, at that time, Muscle Mommy and Yukito had gotten engaged. Just the thought of them being engaged was enough for Kayamaru to drool so heavily that her shirt and pants were starting to get wet. She continues to give off a look on her face as if she had reached the peak of pleasure. Even her eyes started to roll backwards into her skull as she continued to reminisce that scene with her younger brother. Her followers were concerned upon seeing her in that state. They call out to her asking her if she was okay, but all Kayamaru said was Yukito's name. Haps looks at her with a confused look, wondering if what Yukito said to her was actually a marriage proposal. Kayamaru soon snaps out from her perverted delusion, telling them that in contrast to her go, which is pure force, Ju, which her younger brother has mastered, is a fighting style that does not rely on force. It includes not only martial arts, but also political negotiations and tactical tricks. The power of knowledge. Naya looks up in silence, before thinking about how it was about skills that does not rely on power. She soon grabs onto Kayamaru's shirt. She begs her to teach her the technique of Ju. Kayamaru looks at her and agrees to her request. She then tells Naya that she can do it right away and decides to give her an example. Noru is seen sitting by himself on the grassy patch, drinking water. He talks out loud to himself, stating that he was starting to look like an idiot. Questioning the point behind this kind of training, Naya soon appears behind him and calls out to him. "Noru," she says, before hugging him tightly from the back. This causes him to open his eyes wide. "Good luck." "Noru," Naya whispers as she held his head close to her in their close embrace. She continues to tell him that she had high hopes for him. Hearing those words combined with her hug started to cause a change within the little boy. His heart started to beat like an engine. His eyes were ignited with a new profound meaning. He slams his feet hard onto the ground as he stood up. "Whoa! Here I come!" Nora shouted as he stood tall. "Demons. Snakes. Or archons. Anything. Bring it on!" shouted Noru with all his might. Even Naya was amazed by Noru's sudden courage to face everything this world has to offer. Kayamaru and Haps continued to watch him shout. This brings a smile to Kayamaru's face as she calls it the power of love, which was immense. Just like her love for her younger brother Yukito, a member of Haps' group appears with urgency. He reports to her that he had bad news from a neighboring village. He informs her that a huge cult is rapidly expanding its control in this area these days, and that at this rate, they would be surrounded. Haps was alarmed to hear this information, but Kayamaru tells her that it was convenient. She explains to them that this was their chance to expand the size of their army. Haps was confused by what she meant. Kayamaru then turns to her and explains that if the cult was such a big organization, then they should defeat it and take over the whole thing. Another mommy in this world is seen looking down at the village where Kayamaru is. She wore a smile on her face. Glasses mommy versus muscle mommy. Comment below your favorite. Thanks for watching the latest part from the voice of Manhwa. Subscribe for more content and don't forget to comment below what you want to see in the future. Like and share for more.